The prenup clause that shattered my gold digger wife's dreams forever, she never saw it coming, and now paying the ultimate price. Hey Reddit. When I met Rachel, I thought I had hit the jackpot. She was everything I ever wanted, charming, beautiful, and endlessly supportive. We met at a charity gala, the kind of event I rarely attended, but my best friend insisted I needed to network more. Rachel stood out in the crowd, not just because of her striking appearance but also because of how effortlessly she commanded attention. By the end of the night, I was smitten. Fast forward 2 years, and we were planning the wedding of the decade. My family comes from old money, and while I've worked hard to build my own fortune, I've always been cautious. My father drilled it into me early: trust is earned, not given. That's why, as much as I loved Rachel, I insisted on a prenup. It wasn't a sign of mistrust, I told her, but a safeguard for the future. She hesitated, of course, but after some teary conversations and assurances that it was just a formality, she signed it. Or so I thought. Little did Rachel know, the prenup wasn't just a standard agreement. My lawyer and I had crafted a clause that would test her intentions if things ever went south. It was a small detail buried in legal jargon, something she wouldn't have noticed unless she had a lawyer comb through it, which, apparently, she didn't. At the time, I felt a pang of guilt, but I brushed it off. Love should withstand a little scrutiny, right? For the first few years of our marriage, everything seemed perfect. Rachel played the role of the doting wife flawlessly. She organized charity events, accompanied me to business dinners, and made our life look picture perfect on social media. But there were cracks in the facade that I couldn't ignore. She had an insatiable appetite for luxury, designer clothes, extravagant vacations, and a new car every year. At first, I chalked it up to her love of the finer things in life. I could afford it, after all. But then I started noticing things that didn't add up. Rachel would lose expensive jewelry, only for it to mysteriously show up weeks later on eBay under a pseudonym. Credit card bills began skyrocketing with charges I didn't recognize, lavish spa treatments, trips I wasn't a part of, and gifts that were suspiciously male-oriented. I tried to confront her about it, but she always had a way of turning things around, making me feel guilty for questioning her loyalty. The final straw came when I overheard her on a phone call. She was talking to her best friend, laughing about how she was putting in her time until she could cash out big. She bragged about how she'd managed to stay married long enough to hit the jackpot when we divorced. My blood ran cold. That night, I went straight to my lawyer. We pulled out the prenup and reviewed the clause I had almost forgotten about. If infidelity or evidence of financial deceit was proven on her part, she would walk away with nothing, not a single penny. In fact, any assets she acquired during the marriage would revert to me, including the jewelry, cars, and anything purchased with my money. The next few months were a whirlwind. I hired a private investigator to gather evidence, and what they found was worse than I imagined. Rachel wasn't just siphoning money, she was having an affair with one of her yoga instructors. The cherry on top? She had been funneling money into a secret account under his name. Armed with ironclad proof, I decided it was time to act. I waited for our 5th anniversary, ironic, given how she had told her friend this was the finish line for her plan. That evening, I took her to dinner at her favorite upscale restaurant. She was glowing, clearly thinking she had me wrapped around her finger. After dessert, I slid a folder across the table. She looked at it, puzzled. "What's this?" she asked, laughing nervously. "It's everything," I said calmly. "Your lies, your cheating, your betrayal. And most importantly, it's the prenup you signed. The one that ensures you leave with nothing." Her face turned white as she flipped through the documents. The realization dawned on her, and for the first time, she was at a loss for words. "You can't be serious," she finally managed, her voice shaking. "Oh, I'm very serious. By tomorrow morning, the divorce papers will be filed, and you'll be served. You'll have no access to my accounts, no claim to my assets, and no way to manipulate your way out of this." She tried to argue, cry, and even threaten me, but it was futile. The prenup was airtight, and the evidence was damning. When the news broke, Rachel's carefully curated image crumbled. Her friends turned on her, her lover disappeared, and she became the subject of gossip in our social circles. But the ultimate humiliation came when the court upheld the prenup. She had to return every gift, every car, and even the house she thought was hers. She was left with nothing but her name, a name that was now synonymous with scandal. As for me, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I had loved her once, and part of me still mourned the loss of what I thought we had. But in the end, I knew I had dodged a bullet. The last I heard, Rachel was working as a receptionist in a small town far from the life of luxury she once enjoyed. Her friends abandoned her, her lover moved on, and she was left to face the consequences of her greed. I've since moved on and found someone who truly loves me for who I am, not what I can provide. And while I'll never forget the lessons I learned during my time with Rachel, I'm grateful for that prenup clause that shattered her dreams and saved me from a lifetime of deceit. That's all for today's video, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for more exciting content. See you next time.